Turkey. Imagine a country that just can't decide which continent it belongs to, so it took both. Turkey stretches across Europe and Asia like a giant bridge, with civilizations roaming back and forth for centuries. Romans, Byzantines, Ottomans, they all left their autographs in the form of castles, temples, and traditions. And today we're going to walk through these historical hotspots. No selfies with the ruins, but plenty of fascinating facts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support is what helps us grow the channel and create more interesting videos. Let's go! Lake Mecca. Let's kick off with Lake Mecca. No, it's not a city in Saudi Arabia. It's a volcanic crater right in the heart of Turkey. Picture this. 4 million years ago, a volcano sneezed and its crater filled with water. Then 9,000 years later, it decided to do an encore, and another cone popped up inside. So now Lake Mecca is like a Russian nesting doll, a lake within a lake with little islands. Geologists must be over the moon, while we're just here enjoying the view. Sumela Monastery. Now the Sumela Monastery, a true mountaineering club of the Middle Ages. It was built 1,600 years ago on a sheer cliff, and, wait for it, without any scaffolding. The monks simply carved stones right out of the same cliff and hauled them up. No cranes, just faith, sweat, and probably some very colorful language. But now it's one of the world's oldest monasteries, and the view from up there takes your breath away, even if you're not scared of heights. Lake Tuz. Lake Tuz, also known as Salt Lake, is Turkey's second largest lake. And you know what's the coolest thing about it? It's pink. Yes, pink, as if Mother Nature decided to whip up a giant strawberry lemonade. It's all thanks to algae that absolutely love salt. Locals say the salt here can ease joint pain and even help with eczema. Mount Nemrut. Mount Nemrut is where ancient King Antiochus decided to throw the party of the century. He erected massive statues of gods, animals, and, of course, himself. The altitude is nearly 2.5 kilometers, and all around just wind and silence. Antiochus wanted to unite Greek, Armenian, and Iranian gods. Kind of like, why can't we all just get along? The sculptures have been decapitated over time, but even without heads, they still look impressive, like rock stars who've outlived their biggest hit. Yanartaş. If you thought eternal flames only exist in Olympic parks, think again. On Mount Chimera in Turkey, tongues of fire have been bursting from the ground for thousands of years. Rain, snow, wind, they don't care. Locals used to believe it was the breath of the Chimera, that lion, goat, snake monster. But we know it's just methane. Still, the legend is awesome, and the fire really does look like special effects straight out of Avatar. Myra Rock Tombs. The rock tombs of Myra aren't just ancient graves, they're literal high-rise apartments for the dead. The Lycians carved them from the top down. Picture a dentist drilling a tooth, except the scale is hundreds of meters. Why so high? They believed winged creatures would carry the souls of the departed to heaven. The facades were made to look exactly like their homes, complete with columns and doors. The dead, it seems, wanted to keep their address with a view even in the afterlife. Manavgat Waterfall. Manavgat Waterfall isn't the tallest, but it is the widest water curtain in Turkey. It never runs dry because it's fed by the Taurus Mountains, where snow melts even in summer. So if you come for sunbathing and the weather lets you down, this waterfall will give you a refreshing shower any time of the year. Ishak Pasha Palace. Ishak Pasha Palace is an Ottoman country mansion up in the mountains. Not a fortress, but a luxurious residence with panoramic windows overlooking the valley. Picture this. You're a pasha. You have 300 rooms, mountains all around, and from your windows you can even see Mount Ararat. Your neighbors? Only eagles and shepherds. But the peace and quiet, better than any spa hotel. Mount Ararat. Ararat isn't just a mountain, it's the ultimate biblical hit. According to legend, this is where Noah's Ark came to rest. The Ark, by the way, has never been found, but enthusiasts have been climbing its slopes for 1,000 years, just in case they get lucky. The mountain sits at the crossroads of Turkey, Armenia, and Iran and looks so imposing that even clouds get snagged on its peak. Alanya Castle. Alanya Castle is a medieval bodyguard on a rocky peninsula. Its walls stretch for miles, and 140 towers once kept watch for pirates. The Red Tower has become the symbol of the city. It's octagonal like a rare diamond. Today you can walk along the walls and imagine yourself as a guard shouting, "Ship to port!" and everyone rushing to the cannons. Harran. Harran is one of the oldest continuously inhabited places on the planet. People still live in beehive-shaped houses made of mud and brick. These little homes are like thermoses, cool inside during summer, warm in winter. Locals say, "Why would we need air conditioning?" We've got a beehive shape, and it works for 4,000 years and counting. Aspendos Theater. The Theater of Aspendos is an acoustic paradise for performers. Imagine whispering on stage and having 15,000 people in the back row hear you perfectly. No microphones needed. The Romans built it so sound reflects flawlessly, as if they knew the secret to live sound 1,000 years before rock concerts. The theater is still in use today, festivals are held there, and audiences never complain about bad acoustics. Aspendos Aqueduct. And right nearby is the aqueduct, almost 1,800 years old. The Romans were perfectionists. They built water systems that reached even the most distant cities. Part of the aqueduct still stands, crossing valleys, hills, and even swamps. It's like an ancient water highway, just without the traffic jams. Lake Salda. Lake Salda is often called the Turkish Maldives. Turquoise water, white sand. But here's the fun part. Scientists say the minerals there are similar to those on Mars. So if you've always dreamed of going to Mars but tickets are too pricey, just come here and pretend you're an astronaut. And the mud from the lake, they say, has rejuvenating properties. Tourists slather it on like chocolate frosting. Ephesus. They didn't just discuss plays there, they debated politics too, like an ancient parliament, only without the ties. The Library of Celsus was one of the largest. Its facade has been restored so well it looks brand new. Picture this. A Roman walks to the library and on the way pops into the Temple of Artemis. How cool is that? Patara. Patara is the birthplace of Santa Claus. Yes, St. Nicholas was born here, not in Lapland. So if you've been waiting for presents, now you know where it all started. And there's also a beach that stretches for kilometers. Sandy expanses so vast, you could get lost like in a desert. Plus, the ancient oracle of Apollo. People came for advice and left pondering the meaning of life. Iskalesi. The Maiden's Castle is a tragic fairy tale. A king hid his daughter on an island to protect her from a snake, but the snake snuck in through a basket of grapes. Moral of the story, don't trust prophecies and always inspect your fruit. The twin castles, one on the mainland and one on the island, stared at each other for centuries and still stand today like two old friends separated by the sea. Tortum Waterfall. Turkey's tallest waterfall, Tortum. It's not just beautiful, but also useful. A hydroelectric power plant was built nearby, so the water actually lights up homes. Imagine nature flipping the switch. It's green energy in action, just without the wind turbines. Troy, a city that started as a myth and became reality. Archaeologists found not one, but 9 cities built on top of each other, like a layer cake. And all of them witnessed a war that turned Helen and Paris into meme-worthy legends. Now you can walk through the ruins and imagine yourself as a warrior in armor, just without the horse, because the Trojan horse stayed in history. Bodrum Castle. Bodrum Castle is a fortress built by the Knights Hospitaller in the 15th century to defend against the Ottomans. It has 5 towers named after the countries that built them, like a mini UN. Today, it houses a museum of underwater archaeology, with artifacts from ancient ships that sank 3,000 years ago. Just like the Titanic, only older. Eflatun Pinar. Eflatun Pinar is a Hittite spring that has been flowing for 3,000 years. Imagine drinking water that ancient priests once sipped. It was considered sacred and healing. No plastic bottles, just stone and faith. Cappadocia, Garamay Valley. Cappadocia is no longer just a region, it's an alien landscape. For millions of years, volcanoes spat ash, and wind and water carved fairy chimneys. Tall stone pillars that look like overgrown mushrooms. Inside, people carved homes and churches, entire underground cities. If they'd filmed Star Wars here, they wouldn't have needed any sets. Love Valley. Well, you get why it's called that. The rock formations are so distinctive that you don't even need Photoshop. Tourists giggle as they walk by, and hot air balloons rise above them at sunrise, a sight that takes your breath away. Uchisar Castle. Uchisar Castle is like an ancient lookout tower. You climb up, and all of Cappadocia lies at your feet. Once it was a refuge from enemies, now it's a refuge from ticket queues. Ihlara Valley. Ihlara Valley is a canyon 400 meters deep where 80,000 people once lived. Yes, they lived right in the cliffs with churches and stables. Imagine stepping out your front door and facing a sheer drop. At least you couldn't hear your neighbors. Mount Hasan. Mount Hasan is a twin-peaked volcano. It's safe for hiking, so even beginners can make it to the top. The Hittites believed it was home to the gods. Well, if gods like fresh air and panoramic views, why not? Lake Van and Akdamar Church. Lake Van is Turkey's largest lake, and it's blue, really, really blue. And they say a monster lives there, like in Loch Ness, only with a Turkish accent. On Akdamar Island stands the Armenian Church of the Holy Cross, covered in intricate stone carvings. The monks chose this spot to be closer to God and as far from tourists as possible. Temple of Apollo at Didyma. The Temple of Apollo at Didyma is the ancient world's ultimate construction project that never ended. They built it 3 times, and each time something went wrong. But the columns still stand, massive, like redwood trees. Legend says anyone who entered the temple was inviolable. Though that probably doesn't work with modern-day tax inspectors. Antalya and Dudin waterfalls. Antalya is Turkey's sunshine department, 300 days of sun a year. And there are the Dudin waterfalls, upper and lower. The upper one just flows out of the cliff while the lower one crashes straight into the Mediterranean. Ancient Greeks considered this place sacred. They say Apollo's son died here. We just know it's beautiful and a great way to cool your head in the summer heat. Phaselis is an ancient port founded by the Rhodians. It was a crossroads of trade routes. Greeks, Egyptians, Phoenicians all swapped goods there. The theater there is small but with a sea view, like a VIP cinema. The aqueduct still supplies water. Imagine how the Romans built things to last. Kundu Waterfall. Kundu Waterfall hides an entire network of underwater caves, like a submerged labyrinth. Above, there's a cascade of 7 ponds, the water shimmering in the sun. Divers are still exploring these caves. Who knows what they might find? Olympos, a city where the eternal fire of Hephaestus once blazed. Natural gas seeped from the ground, and the Greeks thought it was the god's forge. Today, you can still see those same flames and imagine yourself as an ancient blacksmith. Sumela. Sumela is a tiny Lycian village, accessible only by boat. It has a castle and a theater that seats 300, perfect for a home performance. And beneath the water lie the ruins of a sunken city. Divers can make out walls and staircases. Ulu Canyon. Ulu Canyon boasts the longest wooden walking trail on a cliff face, nearly a kilometer long. You walk along it and feel like a tightrope walker. The river carved this wonder over millions of years. Nature takes its time. The results are breathtaking. Mater Waterfall. Mater Waterfall is in eastern Turkey, right next to thermal springs. Imagine water cascading from a height while hot springs bubble nearby, a contrast shower in the wild. Locals believe it cures all ailments. Istanbul. Istanbul, a traveling city that has changed its name 3 times: Byzantium, Constantinople, and now Istanbul. It stretches across both shores of the Bosphorus, as if Europe and Asia are holding hands. For thousands of years, people traded, fought, and fell in love here. And now it's a legendary city where every stone breathes history. Galata Tower. The Galata Tower was built by the Genoese in the 14th century, and in the 17th century, a daring aviator jumped from it with homemade wings and flew all the way to Asia. The first unpowered flight between continents in history. Today, you can take the elevator up and imagine yourself as that madman, just without the wings. Sumela Mosque. The Sumela Mosque is a masterpiece of Suleiman the Magnificent. It was built as a complete complex: hospital, school, library, all in one package. It survived fires and wars, but rose again like a phoenix. Rumeli Fortress. Rumeli Fortress, built in just 4 months. That's like constructing a skyscraper over a single summer. It helped the Ottomans capture Constantinople and later served as a prison. Now it hosts concerts, and the view of the Bosphorus is even better than from those expensive yachts. The Blue Mosque is named after its tiles. There are 20,000 of them, all handcrafted. It has 6 minarets, just like the one in Mecca, so the Sultan had to send his architect to Mecca to build a 7th there, so as not to offend the holiest site. Talk about architectural diplomacy. Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia is history's chameleon. It was a cathedral, then a mosque, then a museum, and now a mosque again. It's over 1,500 years old, older than many countries. When you step inside, the dome seems to reach into the heavens. And even if you're not religious, it takes your breath away. Topkapı Palace. Topkapı Palace, home to sultans and their harem. Picture this: 4,000 residents, 1,000 cooks, 6,000 meals a day. It was like a massive all-inclusive hotel, only with eunuchs and viziers. Today, it houses exhibits of clothing and weapons. You can pretend you're a sultan, picking out your turban for the day. Sumela Mosque. Sumela Mosque, Turkey's largest, opened in 2019. It holds 63,000 worshippers. That's a whole stadium. The design is a blend of classical and modern with a massive dome. If you didn't know, you might think it's a spaceship disguised as a temple. Ani. Ani, the city of 1,001 churches standing on the border with Armenia. Once a cultural hub, now it's windswept ruins. One church, St. Gregory's, is almost intact. You can step inside and feel like an explorer. Pamukkale. Pamukkale, Cotton Castle. White terraces filled with hot springs. It looks like a giant pool filled with milk. Legend says it's Hera's tears shed out of jealousy. But we know it's just calcium, though the tearful backstory definitely adds romance. Cappadocia Canyon. Cappadocia Canyon with ancient Roman bridges. One of them, the OL Bridge, has stood since the 2nd century, and you can still cross the river on it. And for thrill seekers, whitewater rafting. The water is wild, the adrenaline is through the roof. Yoksu Waterfall. Yoksu Waterfall, translated as Earth Bridge, because the water carved a natural bridge right above itself. Nearby is one of the world's deepest canyons, Kagsan. So this place is an absolute treasure trove for geologists and adventure seekers alike. Hattusa. Hattusa, the capital of the Hittites with the Lion Gate. These lions have been guarding the city for 3,000 years and they don't seem to be going anywhere. The Hittites knew how to build monumental structures. Their walls even withstood earthquakes. Yazlıkaya. Yazlıkaya, meaning inscribed rock, where the Hittites carved entire processions of gods. What's more, the carvings are positioned so that sunlight illuminates them on specific days, like an ancient planetarium, just without the dome. And there you have it, Turkey. A country where nature and history have put on a show that no blockbuster could ever match. Here you can descend into an underground city, climb a volcano, swim in a pink lake, and touch the very stones where kings once stood. I wouldn't be surprised if after this video you start Googling flights, and honestly, I totally get it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really makes a difference. Your support helps us grow and make even more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.